Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Refuge from Narcissism, and this refugee video is sponsored by contribution from Lisa. This is Lisa from the last video, the I don't know video. She has a response, I guess, to some of the comments. She actually sent it in two videos. It's not nearly as long. It's only about 14 minutes between the two videos. So let's hear what she has to say.
Hey, Ollie, I'm really sorry about those long messages. I knew that's why I was thinking, I need to redo this. It's just really hard for me to be concise with what I'm trying to say. But I wanted to respond to a couple things. Okay, so all those text messages are my family. We have a group text, and I have lots of aunts and uncles. My mom had 8 siblings in her family, and I'm really close to them because they're my mom had me when she was really young. So they're almost like brothers and sisters, but they're my aunts and uncles, and we have a group text. And of course, with the hurricane coming, we're texting a lot, which, but I do have one uncle in the group text who's kind of a shut-in, so he does text quite a bit, and that's who all the text messages were from. I really apologize for that.
You just got to shut them off because it just looks bad. It just seems like you're not willing to make any sacrifices for anybody else. It's a bad look. You gotta be cognizant of how you come across with that.
Let's see here. Okay. That's the thing. Okay. With my daughter, she could have done whatever she wanted to do. She could have gotten a job. She could have, while she was living with me. I wasn't like, when we decided for me to take the job at the brokerage, her and I had a conversation together. Like, is this okay? Do you want to help me get the boys off the
Yeah, but that's not fair. You see, but that isn't fair. She's a kid. She's a kid at that time. That's not fair. You're an adult. You're her mother, and now you're incorporating her into your life and into your future, and that's not fair to do to a kid. It just isn't.
school bus? And she agreed. And I said, okay. And then you can go to Full Sail during the day. It wasn't like I had this expectation, like, you better do this. No, of course I would never do that. And
But she never went to. But she never went to school. She just ended up taking care of her brothers, right?
This last incident, because I'm trying really hard to keep it concise. And I think part of it too is that it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to me, and I think I have a habit of putting things out of my mind, like the note, like exactly what it said. Like,
But wait a minute. You're telling me you don't know what the note said because you put it out of your mind because it's embarrassing, but you have no problem telling me that your daughter's dating a transsexual? It seems like you shut off any type of criticism towards you, and then you look to justify it with long stories. This is what I'm gauging. This is where your daughter's animosity is coming towards from you. You made her a part of your future as she's a child, and she's barely even becoming an adult, and now you're incorporating her into your career, into your future, making her like she had a right to do something on her own, like with you supporting her. But you said that was about your escape plan. So it was about you. And I think she probably feels like you sacrificed her future for your divorce. Like I don't know what was going on with your husband, with your ex-husband, that you wanted a divorce in the first place. Like it's like all vague. All I know is you wanted out. I don't know why. I don't know.
it traumatized me. I was so upset about it. I just try not to remember, what it said. I just try to move past it, those things. And anyway.
So you want to move past her anger, but you want me to tell you if not but you want to figure out why, if she's a narcissist, but you want to move. This sounds like you're trying to project something, Lisa. Is what it sounds like, because that explanation is complete BS.
With my daughter, between when she had the incident with her dad, with the choking and the trying to get a restraining order, and then what happened with the person she was in a relationship with, and then she was back on her feet again, and her and I were getting along great, wonderful, and I'm like, oh good, we've gotten past all of that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to send her the money. I wanted her to feel secure. I wanted her to not feel like she had to depend on anyone, that she had something to fall back on in case anything bad ever happened again. My biggest fear was she was going to wind up in New York homeless, and I'm all the way down here in Florida. And, back when she was going through those incidences. And, but then, okay, so one thing I left out was, as soon as she got her own place again, here comes my ex-husband, her dad, back around into her life. And that's when I could tell her behavior changed again, which I did read some of the comments, and I do.
Well, how many times has she gotten her own place again? What do you mean? And her father comes back? Because it seems like, from what you said, is you left, the father stayed in the house until it got sold. He was the sole provider for all of it. So at what point had your ex-husband then, because you're insinuating like she got her own place, so now he's going to go and do again. She got her own place again, meaning that he's done this before. So it must be his influence that she's mad at you. Nothing to do with you. I mean, you put out of your mind what she wrote to you in that letter, but you want to then turn around and say it's your ex-husband showing up. Was she exhibiting any of these behaviors before you left? Not until she had moved out with you into that studio and then moved back, right? Till she moved into you in that studio, you began having problems. She moves back in with her father. Now it's all his influence.
You know, with the Asperger's syndrome, and this is what I thought the first time, she's very much can be influenced, can fall into negative influences, maybe easily manipulated, but
maybe so. But again, you are banking all of this on other people influencing her and her not having any legitimate reasons to be pissed off at you. And it seems like she has some legitimate reasons to be pissed off at you. And you don't want to, and it seems like you don't want to accept that.
But this time, I don't think that's the case. It seemed like it was, okay, so before, when I tried to think of it, it was like a teenage rebellion, or it was her dad, or, influencing her, and then maybe the people that they were starting to associate with, that kind of thing. But this time, it seemed like it was coming from her. And I couldn't say it was these other reasons why. And
she's pissed off at you.
I don't know, part of it too is she's angry because she did spend that money, and now she's angry. And then she's taking her anger out on me because of it, right? But yeah, I don't know if I was ready to share that story with her, because it's still bothering me. I don't know how to work through it very well, but there's
it seems like you are looking to figure out ways to make it that other people are influencing her. But this last time, you're saying it's coming directly from her. You have to accept the fact she's pissed off at you about something very specific, probably in that letter you don't want to acknowledge. And you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to face it, whether it happened or not. Okay? And the way you're acting is making me think that there's something there that you don't want to deal with.
I guess what I need to do is think about a particular incident that happened and then be able to share it like that. But you're right. I have a hard time. When I start thinking about one thing, then it's like, well, this contributed to this, to this, to this. It's like everything's connected. It's hard for me to just talk about one particular incident. And then I'm embarrassed of certain incidences. Like I brought up real quick about him cutting himself with an axe. I guess to a degree, I'm still traumatized by that. So then it's hard for me to talk about every single thing that happened when that happened,
But what does that have to do with your daughter being mad at you? That he's manipulative? Like you're just going deep. See, what you're doing is you're planting seeds to try to prove that he's manipulative. And then if he's going to go to the point where he's going to injure himself with an axe on purpose, okay, then he would definitely go and manipulate his daughter. I mean, I think that's the connection you're trying to make by going into these stories. And these stories you're going into, they're not going anywhere. I mean, you get into them and then it's just, they don't go anywhere. And it just makes you think, it makes me think, and I know it's making the people on the channel think it's you. You're hiding something. You're hiding a lot.
So I don't know. I'm just, I do have a hard time just focusing on one particular incident, but yeah, see, like right now I've lost it. I can't think of what to say. Oh, okay. It's only 5 minutes almost. Okay. So I got a couple more minutes. I wanted to touch on the autism. So I have a half brother who's autistic. I have a cousin on my dad's side. My dad remarried, and I have one brother between my dad and my stepmom, and he has autism. He's a little bit more high functioning than my boys, but lower functioning than my daughter. And then on my dad's side of the family, I have a cousin who's highly autistic. And I actually have his sister opened a whole farm for, it's like a farm for like therapy, autistic therapy. It's like a farm therapy. And so it does run in my family. It does run in my family. And truthfully, I don't even know if, when I hear the comments or I hear what you say, like, it's hard for you to understand me. Part of me wonders if I have a touch of autism too. Like if I'm high functioning Asperger's too, So I just wanted to touch on that. I've heard you mention a couple of times that you thought there was a connection between autism and narcissism, but I don't think I've heard specifically like what your comments were about that. I don't know if I didn't see those videos.
I think a lot of this diagnosed autism is reactions to being abused by people with personality disorders. I think that's where the speech stuff comes from, the shutting down within, because it's easier just not to say anything than to deal with people with personality disorders. It's less chaotic, and they just introvert into their own heads. Like some people introvert into their own apartments, into their own houses, shut the doors, close the blinds. I think some of these people diagnosed with autism are reacting to being abused by parents with personality disorders. because it's just too much. I just hear it with too many people on my channel. Too many times with people. And that's not, and I'm not saying autism isn't real, and I'm not saying everybody on my channel who has a child on the spectrum, it's because of you, but it's because of some of you. I'll tell you that. It's because you can model the lives are very similar. It's usually people I have to call out on my channel to look in the mirror at their own lives. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with your children, but it's a lot of autism you got in your family. And now your family's running a farm for autism. So I guess they're making money. It's a for-profit farm, I would imagine. I'm not saying anything. It's very strange to me. It's very strange to me. And I know that's going to upset some people. It pisses people off. But that's just my opinion. And it's just based on what I've seen. Not only on my channel, but with people I know I've known in my personal life who've said, oh, my child's autistic, so-and-so, it turns out he's autistic. And they all act the same. They all are like neglectful. They're all selfish and self-centered. And there's always screaming and yelling and fighting and borderline histrionic behavior. It's usually the histrionic behavior I find is the common denominator in these houses with children on the spectrum, diagnosed on the spectrum. It's always a histrionic factor in one of the parents, usually the mother, but many times both. That's just my observation.
I always wondered that too with my ex-husband, if it was like the perfect storm, if I have this autism in my family and then he has some kind of disorder, and then that's why because you're exactly right. Even the people in my family that have autistic children, like in my extended family, they have one, not multiple children, right? Or even the families that I know. I know one other family who both of their children, they had a boy and a girl, and they both had autism. And I know it just seems like an epidemic. I never knew anyone growing up that had autism. My brother that has it, he's 16 years younger than me. I was 16 when he was born. So I never was really around him when I was little. I never heard of it. Never, when I was in school, I would volunteer at.
See, and this just makes me, because narcissism and these narcissistic abuse situations that we all deal with on my channel, that people are coming to me, has been going on for generations. Generation to generation to generation, it's handed down. Much like how you're describing this autism. Want to break the cycle of autism, you got to break the cycle of narcissism. I'm telling you. Now, there are legitimate autistics that are low functioning, nonverbal. Autism is the actual autism is real. I have never said that. Okay, but I think a lot of this autism, Asperger's, is just antisocial, is antisocial personality disorder being manifested out of being raised by cluster B parents. And you're just raising antisocial children.
With the special needs children in art class, because, I'm into art too. And, all of those children looked like they're in a wheelchair or they have Down syndrome, and then one day, I'm just going to finish with this. Sorry. My teacher asked, do you want to volunteer for the Special Olympics? And I said, sure. So it was on a Saturday at the high school. And I went and I remember seeing boys there playing, and uh, they looked totally normal. And I said, "What?" I asked my teacher, "What's going on with these boys?" And she said, they're mentally retarded." See, I don't think they called it autism back then. I think it's just a different label or diagnosis now. So anyway, I do apologize. I did think, maybe I need to redo these again, but it's really difficult for me to sit down and be able to write it out. Um, and yeah, I guess maybe it's just not the right, not the right way for me to do it here. But I do appreciate you trying to listen. And anyway, I apologize that it was crazy and all over the map. I do apologize for that. But, anyhow, I'll keep listening to everyone else's stories. I do appreciate them.
I just sent another one after this.
Oh, and one last thing. You had brought up like how I ended up with my youngest child. So I just want to touch on that real quick. When me and my ex-husband decided to try fostering, I specifically told him and our whole foster support group, the people that we got our license with, I specifically said, I don't want preschoolers, because I knew I already had my hands full, right? I don't want preschoolers. Well, my youngest son went to another foster family that needed respite. And in order for us to get our license, you have to have a crib. You have to take a picture of a crib in your home. That's part of the license.
But why are you if you're trying to get away from your husband and you're unhappy, why are you then trying to foster children? You already have 2 special needs, 3 special needs, and then you leave, you're fostering, you leave, then you want to adopt. And somewhere in this process, you're asking your daughter to then become responsible so you can go get your real estate license or work as a realtor, and you got to work in the office. So she has to go pick up the kids. And if she does that, she can go to art school, but she never actually goes to art school. You can't figure out why she's mad at you or what you might have done wrong here. So you planned your escape, not really your family's escape. Not having 5 people live in a studio apartment, that's for sure.
And so at this particular time, we had borrowed a crib from another family to take our pictures to pass the home study. And then this other family needed respite for this little baby. And so it would be our first placement. So of course we were real excited, like, oh, our first placement. And we had the crib, and we thought it was just going to be for a weekend. So we said okay to the respite. Well,
well, why are you doing this if it's only going to be for a week? Obviously, you're looking for some kind of more steady or permanent thing. What's the point? Like, again, like this doesn't make any sense.
Husband really got attached right away, and he wanted to keep the baby, even though I had said.
So he got attached, not you, but you ended up being the one to adopt the baby.
Said I didn't want preschoolers. My boys were finally in school. I was still homeschooling my daughter, and I didn't want a preschooler, but my ex-husband wanted it, and I don't know if it's part of people pleasing. So I said, okay, well, we can keep him. And then pretty much I've raised him since he was a little baby. And so, I mean, he just thinks of me like I am his mom. He's been with me since he was a baby. And I do keep him in touch with his biological father and his grandmother. And and all of them. Anyway, I don't want to get on too many tangents again. But right around the time that I left my ex-husband, which that's a whole story too, Michael's little sister was taken. And my ex-husband wanted me to take her. She's even younger. And I just almost...
Who's Michael's little sister? Like, again, you are surrounded by chaos. You are surrounded by chaos, and you are part of the chaos as well. I'm trying to figure out if you're the eye of the chaos storm. And your daughter, you're homeschooling your daughter. So I don't know how socialized she's been, whether she wanted to be homeschooled or not, or what I don't know. I don't know, but it doesn't sound like, how are you homeschooled? Like, you can't get a thought out. And you're the one homeschooling this girl? And you said, wait a minute, she was going to go to art college, and then you had to force her to get her GED. Like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, how is she going to go to college? Don't you need I mean, I guess you can homeschool, but you need some kind of transcript. You got to prove, I guess that's why she had to take the GED test. But I don't know if a GED, how highly that's looked to get in on the school that you're trying to get her in on higher education. Yeah, you get in the community college with that, with a GED. Seems like you handicapped this girl.
Had like a nervous breakdown because I was like, oh no. She did go to another home and she was adopted out, and that worked out wonderfully. But I did want to touch on the fact that, even though I requested to my ex-husband, I don't want preschoolers. I've been told that was part of him wanting to keep me kind of in a way where I was still dependent, still kind of, see, it's hard for me to talk about. But I mean, it's not,
You see, every time something doesn't go right, you go with that, because it seems like you wanted all of this. Up until the point somebody gets mad or it doesn't go right, then it's on him. You take no responsibility for anything. And it's obvious you have a major hand in all this.
All worked out, like I said, it all worked out really well, but it was, I would say it was just a situation. It wasn't like I was seeking to take on more responsibility or something like this. It wasn't like that.
What I don't even understand what that means. It was just a situation. Fostering children is not just a situation. It's something you actively seek out. What do you mean I wasn't looking on to take on more? Like, yeah, you were when you decided to go be a foster parent. And then you adopt. Lisa, you got to take responsibility here. You got to realize, like, you are a rudderless ship, just going wherever and then blaming everybody else. Like, it's very frustrating. It is, because I don't want to have to be doing these type of videos. I don't, but I wouldn't be doing my job unless I call it like I see it. And the way I see it is the majority of the problem is coming from you. It just seems like it's like all the decisions made are what's going to benefit you. And when they don't work out, you want to find somebody else to project the blame onto. Your daughter is pissed, and I think she probably has good reason to be. You had no right putting her in that position at her age. Yeah, you shouldn't have done it. It was wrong. It was absolutely wrong. You stunted her future right there. I mean, you're already homeschooling her. Yeah, then you said you had to force her to get a GED. So how the hell is she getting into this college? I don't know. So I hope that helps. Thank you for another contribution. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Zelle or PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Refuge from Narcissism. Take care.